Good morning. Welcome to Let's Get Growing. It's mid-March. Thought we might get in the garden today, but it's about -8 or something like that this morning. So we're in the greenhouse, uh, talking about another plant family that is really gaining a lot of popularity these days. Or, a few years ago, you never saw them around, um, except in florist shops, actually, and that's Alstroemeria. Uh, Alstroemerias are a wonderful group of lily relatives from South America. Normally, for us here in Ontario, we see them in the florist shops because the flowers, which are amazing, so much markings, lots of interesting colors and shapes and everything. Uh, they're an exceptionally good cut flower, so they work really, really well as a cut. So that's usually how we see them. If you go to England, if you go to Scotland, if you go to Ireland, you see them used quite a bit in the perennial borders. Um, and they've always intrigued me that way. Uh, Now that we're getting a few more varieties out there, we're getting a few more varieties that are actually potentially winter hardy for us, and we'll get to those in a minute. But what we are seeing a lot of now, and I'm seeing them uh, at garden centers I've been around to that grow their own things, we're seeing some really, really good compact bushy alstroemerias for containers. Um, Whether it be a gift plant, but doesn't have to be. These will bloom once they get started. They really will bloom all summer long, and that's these guys here. This is one of them. This is one of the Inca series. This is Inca Husky, and there are a few other different series out there. So any that you see will kind of be similar. These guys will usually be sold in about a maybe a 6 inch to a 1 gallon pot. Um, they're very compact. This height is maybe, they might get maybe 50% taller than this um, in containers, but they work really well in containers. You can grow them in a pot this size. This is a 12-inch pot. These guys are just sort of waking up and getting ready for the season. Um, but they'll fill these 12-inch pots and bloom all summer long. So they're pretty cool. Uh, they're really neat conversation piece. You can put them into mixed containers and things, and we've done that. Um, but remember that they don't get really tall. Often when you see alstroemerias described in gardens and things, you're seeing varieties like Indian Summer, for example, that are going to get 24 to 30 inches tall. Uh, Neat thing about them, like I said, is that they're really easy container plants. I love growing them this way. I'm collecting more and more varieties, but I'm intrigued to get winter hardy ones. So that's a little bit tougher. Um, because they're getting popular now, some of the wholesale bare root perennial growers are offering them, and places and like catalogs that sell bare root perennials are offering them, but you need to be careful. If you've got a place, I don't want to mention names, but if you have deal with a place that sells bare root perennials from the catalogs or online, and they're offering alstroemerias, make sure they have a good guarantee because alstroemerias are notoriously tricky to grow from bare root plants. So I'm going to show you what the roots look like in a minute. But keep in mind, you have a failure rate of about 90%. Growing them from seed, if you can get good seed, might be a better choice. Actually, I think the best way to get them, to try them, is to get a growing plant. If you can find somewhere that's got growing plants, um, and uh, use them that way, get them planted, um, and see if you can get good hardy ones that way. And with that, I'll just point out that, as I said, there's lots of varieties available, uh, mostly for containers. But when I was at the perennial plant convention last summer, lo and behold, there was two varieties that are being released by proven winners this year, uh, that should be, or at least have a good potential to be winter hardy. These are the summer series. So there's Summer Breeze, which is actually this one here. I had Summer Breeze before I got one here from Proven Winners. Uh, it's a beautiful one. It has dark foliage. You don't see it much right now, but the foliage is almost black with a green edge. Um, and a nice bright yellow flower with the orange backing. And on the Proven Winners tags, just as they're giving us a hardiness rating of um, Zone 6 USDA, which translates to being hardy to minus 25 Celsius. So there's certainly some potential for these proven winner uh, hardy Alstroemerias. I got them too late in the summer, so I didn't plant them. I just kept them indoors, and they've actually bloomed and grown over the winter. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to put them into the garden this year. Um, we're going to put them in a nice sort of a hot, dry, sunny spot. When we see them in England and that growing, in Beth Chatto's garden especially, in her famous xeriscape no water garden, the Alstroemerias grow like crazy there. So drainage is key. They have sort of a tuberous root system that I'm going to show you in a minute. Um, I know people here have grown them before and been successful. Places like up against a foundation wall and things like that, where they're a bit warmer over the winter. They may not freeze solid in the ground. So, pick a place like that. Pick a place that's got excellent drainage. We'll revisit these again when it's time to plant them out, because we're going to keep a really close eye on them. I'm really excited about trying these ones. Um, Watch for them in your garden centers. They're being grown by Walter's Gardens, which is a big bare root perennial nursery in central Michigan. They are surviving for them. Central Michigan's about a zone 6, not far off from southern Ontario, and actually probably the same climate as much of southern Ontario. Uh, so these guys really have some potential in being winter hardy. Now, I do kind of chuckle a little bit, because when you go to gardens in England and Ireland, they're often cursing the Alstroemerias because they're extremely vigorous, and actually can be a bit invasive over there in their gardens. Maybe not invasive, but a thug. A garden thug would be a good word for Alstroemerias in Ireland. But for us, if we can get them to overwinter and see some blooms, I think that will be a big success. So we're going to look and hold our breath for these guys, but I'm really excited to try them out. So watch for those. Good garden centers that carry a lot of interesting stuff just might have these available. Um, so keep an eye on them. It's the summer series from Proven Winners. So I mentioned about the roots. So Alstroemerias are really interesting plants. When you look at an Alstroemeria like this, if you look at any plant like this, you would think, oh, look at all these great little shoots. I could just probably take cuttings of those and make lots and lots of plants. Well, you can't. Alstroemerias do not root from cuttings. They need to be sort of divided at the root. So I'm going to show you that in a minute. I'm just going to show you the growth habit a little bit. I can show you here on this Summer Breeze. So you can see that I got a dead stem here, so I'm going to cut that right off at the ground. We'll get rid of that. Not important. This guy has had a couple of stems that have bloomed. It's got a stem in bloom, and it happens to have two stems here that are just coming into bloom. So this is going to give us some interesting color in the greenhouse while we're waiting for actual spring to arrive. But what happens with Alstroemerias is can I show you? Oh, I can maybe show you on this one better. When a stem comes up out of the ground, it grows up, it blooms, and then the flowers die. So after the flowers die, we nip the flower head off. This flower head is sitting here finished. So I'm just going to nip it off because this stem still looks good. But this stem is going to do nothing else. So in a little while, what's going to happen is this whole stem is going to just die down and look terrible. So to maintain them and keep them tidy, you just go and you cut those old stems out when they look crappy. And new stems will emerge from the ground. So I don't have a shoot on this one at the moment, but I have a shoot on Indian Summer. It's doing the same. It's got this stem that is bloomed and is finishing. You can see it's drooping down. This stem here looks like the bud's blasted. It's drooping down. Same with this one, but the foliage is still good, so it's maintaining, uh, some use for the plant. But we'll say so. This one we would just deadhead, allow the foliage to stay there for now. But what we want to see is right here. You can see at the base there's a new shoot coming up. And that's what'll happen is these stems that are above ground will get replaced by shoots from below ground. So you just simply clean up as they finish blooming, let them bloom, and then take those stems right down, and that will keep the plants nice and tidy. Then as long as there's shoots coming from the base, you're in good shape. It's pretty easy to see sometimes where new shoots are coming and old shoots are going. Old shoots get weak and droopy. New shoots still good and strong. But I want to show you the root systems of these things because it's very important. I'm going to take this one out of its pot, save all my fertilizer there. So this is Katiana. It's a gorgeous variegated variety with brilliant red flowers. But here's the root system. They're very fleshy, very delicate, and quite easy to break and quite easy to dry out. So you do need to be very careful. This is an interesting point about them as well. This is where the new bud is. This is a new stem starting to grow right here. You can see how low that is below the surface. And that just naturally happens. I didn't plant it that deeply, but that's where the new shoots come. And if you want to get these things to survive the winter well, what you can do when you plant them out, you dig a hole, move some soil aside, and then dig a deeper hole. So you're actually digging a depression in the ground, and then you're going to dig a hole in that depression, put the plant in that depression, plant it, but you're going to have a few inches of soil, this below in like a bowl shape. Come the fall, you're going to push all that soil back on top. So these buds are well below the surface. If you just get one and it's a bare root and you grow it with the buds up here and then you plant it out, odds are it's going to die. You need to get those buds well below the surface so it's a bit of protection. We'll talk about that more when we plant some outside this year. But the beauty of growing them in containers is you can see we've got multiple shoots coming up all over. And actually this one is kind of divided itself. So what we can do is we can just very simply go down in that. Then we're going to cut through the crown. And we can very easily split that apart And then we've got healthy roots that haven't been disturbed, that haven't been damaged. We're going to plant that into a new pot. We're going to plant that into a new pot, and they're going to grow on like they haven't even been attacked. So it's an easy way. This guy here, we just got this one last year. What was this one? This is Little Miss Zoe, another beautiful variegated one with a two-tone green foliage and a nice sort of a rich peachy salmon color. Again, we're going to do a first split on that one, and then we'll have two pots. By the end of the summer, we can split those again in at least half, maybe even into thirds or quarters. And that's how we're propagating them. And that's the only way you can propagate them unless you want to try growing them from seed. Um, seed is not terribly difficult. You just need to get good quality seed. Uh, and that probably is the easiest way to get a hold of the hardy varieties, is to grow them from seed. So, like I said, it's a recent obsession plant with me. There's lots of varieties out there. They're great in full sun containers. Looking forward to trying more in the garden as we get varieties that are more hardy. Do we have any questions today, Laura?
What kind of soil and fertilizer do they like?
You know, when we are growing them in containers, like I've said before, we literally use the same Pro Mix type growing mix that we use for everything, nothing different. For containers, I put a sprinkling of slow release fertilizer on top of the in each pot, and it looks like this, little gray beads. It's often sold as hanging basket fertilizer because what these pellets do, you sprinkle them on the surface just like this. You can mix them in a little bit if you want. These little pellets of fertilizer last about 100 days. Okay, so that means if you make up a planter in May, you've got all of June, all of July, all of August, where these pellets will slowly release themselves and give a gentle feeding right through the season. We do augment that with liquid feeding about once a week, once every couple of weeks. Um, we always want stuff in our containers to grow really quickly and full and lush. So we give them a fair bit of food in the containers. If you're putting them in the ground, if you plant Alstroemeria in the ground, they want to be in sort of a sunny, dryish, very well drained soil. Um, Watered when you plant them, get them established. But once they're going, they should be fine on their own. As I said, Beth Chatto, she's in England, of course, but one of the driest parts of England, and the Alstroemerias grow out in the gravel garden there with no irrigation whatsoever. Maybe only about 9 or 10 inches of rain a year uh, in that garden, and they grow fine. So we're going to put them out into a couple of different areas in our garden. We're going to put them in the xeriscape garden that never gets irrigation, and we're going to put them in another couple of sunny, dry gardens that do get some irrigation but drain exceptionally well, and they will not get fertilized. They will just get whatever sort of top dress of rotting plant material like everything else, and that's all they'll get. They won't get anything special. But in containers, of course, they always get a little bit of special treatment because their full root system is right there. You need to feed them. The soilless mixes have no nutrients in them, so you need to keep that in mind. Um, you need to add the nutrients to your planters to get really exceptional results.
Bruce has one and has come back for 2 years now.
You know what? And that's great. And that's there are Alstroemerias that are hardy for sure. You find the right spot, they will survive for you and come back. I'm glad to hear, Bruce. I'll like to talk to you more about that when I see you this summer. But yeah, I know people that have grown them for quite a few years. The first one I tried outside, I had limited success. It did come back, but then it disappeared over the summer, and then hasn't seemed to return. So we'll try them in a couple of different places. Maybe give them a little bit more TLC when I plant them, but we'll see how it goes.
Cheryl would like to know if there's any seeds that you can start inside now.
Seeds inside now. This is like crazy seed time. You could be starting all sorts of things. What are we? We're coming into the end of March. You should have your peppers started already. If you haven't got them started, get them going, and your eggplants. If you've got room, you can start tomatoes, get a bit of a head start, but you really don't need to start them yet. They can get way too big if you start them too early. Uh, don't be, maybe easier to say what not to start yet. And don't start your cucumbers. Don't start your squashes. Don't start zucchinis and pumpkins and beans and all those vining things. It's way too early for those things. Um, Look at vegetables that take a while to get going. Like I say, peppers are a great example. They're very, very slow to start, um, and should be done now. Other things that we're sowing, we sowed our Nicotianas last week. They're right beside Laura. She can probably turn the camera and you can see. Oh, no, you stay still. I'll get there. We sowed our Nicotianas last week. They're in trays, microscopic when they grow. We'll give these another week or so of growth before we start to think about transplanting. Um, but yeah, we're in major sowing area at the moment. Now, as far as annuals go, I learned this last year. Actually, I mean, you never stop learning. Um, Annuals that are come from really warm areas like Mexico, um, northern South America, stuff like that. So I'm talking zinnias, cosmos, things like that. They can be started really, really late when it's like warm. Don't start them early. You don't have to start them early and then baby them. Actually, if you wait until even the 24th of May weekend, you can start them then and they'll be in bloom and growing as if you started them now. Um, the thing with those really heat loving annuals is they don't do much until they have really good hot temperatures and then they explode in growth. So, um, you know, I'm going to try it more this year once I learn the technique, and we'll see how it goes. But uh, they can be sowed even outdoors at that time in pots if you wanted to, but uh, they can wait. Other than that, we're sowing just about everything else now. Uh, Most annuals that we want to get bulked up before they're outside or into containers. Perennials, still lots of time. If you have perennials that need some cold stratification, you might need to do the Ziploc method. Uh, Put them into Ziploc bags with a little bit of soil or on paper towel, and chill them for a few weeks that way. It's hard to say what the weather's going to do over the next month or so. Any other questions?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, spring is coming, even though it's super chilly today. Uh, I hope we'll be out in the garden next week. We were going to be today, but we'll push it one more week. That'll still be the end of March, so that's all right. What are you whispering to me, Laura?
Radio.
Ah, yes, the radio show. Let's get growing. Saturday mornings, starting May 29th, this Saturday coming up. 1580 CKDO on the AM dial or 107.7 on the FM dial, 9 a.m. Saturday mornings. If you are out of our listening area, go on your computer, go to the ckdo.ca website and click listen live and you can get the show anywhere in the world. So let's get growing. That'll be every Saturday morning until Thanksgiving. and you can call in or email in questions there. If we have questions that get too tough to answer and we need to show you, then we try to show you on our Facebook Lives on Sunday morning. So we'll try to get your answers out to you one way or the other. And if there's no more questions snuck in, Laura,
Yes, just
uh,
confirm for Dan that it is March 29th.
March 29th is
Saturday.
Saturday, March 29th, 9 a.m. That's when the show is back on for the season. Other than that, enjoy your gardens, and we'll see you next time on Let's Get Growing.